Okay, guys. So finally, I finally get to give my thoughts on the show Sleepy Hollow. I plugged it up on my Twitter account, and usually my Twitter is linked to my Facebook, and it also kind of showcases my tweets and stuff like that. And I went on and said, after watching the first episode, when it first aired, now it just aired the second episode, that I pretty much enjoyed it. I liked the feel to it and things like that. And, I do. So, yeah, here I am to talk about it a little bit. First and foremost, for all those who don't live in the Westchester County area of New York, like me, Sleepy Hollow is not too far from where I am in Westchester County, New York. It is a real place. Give you a little lesson. It was called Sleepy Hollow, and then the government returned it back to. They made it a part of an already established town called Terrytown. They made it Northern Terrytown, and then later on they pretty much reverted it back to that section, back to Sleepy Hollow. I mean, their high school has in the front yard of their high school a statue of the Headless Horseman. I'm not sure if they still have it, but yeah, that's kind of a lesson of, I think it's probably one of the most famous towns / cities in the in Westchester County. It pretty much is a very beautiful town. It's right on the riverbank of the Hudson River. You could see the Hudson River like right there, and it's really beautiful. And I love that, because that's a lot of the towns on the riverbank of the Hudson River. The further you go up north, you'll see it. Now, I like how they tell this story. Basically that Ichabod Crane met the Hestian soldier. We don't really get to see his face. He wears a mask. We saw it from the first episode. He's wearing a mask, but he carries an axe, and pretty much basically he gets a shot off, and it badly wounds Ichabod, and pretty much for his last effort, he cuts the Hestian soldier's head off. And there was a meeting that they're connected really well. The way they explained how they're connected was cool, and there's a lot of witchcraft involved in it too, especially of that day and era. And I really enjoyed it. I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. I'm like, okay, this is very entertaining. But then 250 years later, Ichabod wakes up in a whole different time. So he's really a man out of time, and he's in the 21st century of Sleepy Hollow, and things like that. Now, I must give my buddy James, the great Southern Tread Killer, basically money, because yeah, he was right. He said that he made a funny that basically that Clancy Brown's character is not going to last long, and he was right. He didn't. But I love the chemistry, and even after watching the second episode, the chemistry between the actor who plays Ichabod Crane, who was really good, and the actress who plays this lieutenant of the police department of Sleepy Hollow. Their chemistry is really good. She's kind of real, like she was on her way out of the town and on her way to the FBI, and then strange things starts happening, and then she's brought back in after the death, not only the death of her sheriff, but and her friend, and they explain a little bit more of their chemistry, their relationship in the next episode, which was really well done as well. But and Ichabod comes in, and then everything just gets twisted, and it's really on that case of what do you believe, in a sense. How do you explain certain things? It's supernatural, but it's also trying to be grounded in a sense, based in reality of, okay, do you believe or do you not believe? What's that old saying, right? There's more. How does it go again? There's more in heaven and hell than it was dreamt up in our imagination, or something like that. I'm probably butchering that line. I apologize, guys, but that's pretty much basically what that the story's kind of based on. Now, I like how they explain the Headless Horseman, that he's not just quote unquote the Headless Horseman. He is more based and grounded in more, how can I put it, if you haven't seen it? Well, he's death. He's pretty much death. He's one of the 4 horsemen, actually. And when that came about, I was like, okay, this is nice. I like that. Now we're getting somewhere. The biggest name in terms of familiarity in the show is Orlando Jones. I believe, yeah. He's like the biggest star there. And he plays the captain of the department. And he's kind of more, once again, on that case of, like, believe it or not, things like that. And we see that in the first episode. I love that in the first episode, the Headless Horseman upgraded from just having a regular axe, which was cool because the axe would burn, it would heat up. Like, when he would cut through things, it was scalding hot, like the edges were burnt, like burning. So he kind of felt like a little bit like Ghost Rider in a sense, and that was cool. So anything he's gonna cut he's gonna cut through. And there was a lot of twists and turns in the first episode that really had me on the edge of my seat. I was like, okay, where's this gonna go? Where's that gonna go? And I enjoyed the hell out of that first episode. And then just recently watching the second episode, which got more into what the big time players of who, once again, there are more pieces on the board in terms of not just the Headless Horseman. There are others, and Ichabod and the Lieutenant are this unlikely duo that are trying to stop this. And basically we get to see a little bit more of the situation, like the higher ups involved in this, in terms of the demons involved in this and who they working for and things like that. And in this episode we got to get a little bit more glimpse of Ichabod's wife and who she really was. We see that she's a faction, once again, that there's 2 factions of witches, of covenants. There's as Wiccans and a good witch, and one who represents good and one against evil, and we get to see that more in that. The factor of like suspense is really there, and I really enjoy that as well for the show. It's not over the top scary, but if you're a little kid and you don't like dark and scary stuff, there are times you're gonna probably back up. Especially the last episode they did with this witch who she was burnt to a crisp, and when she came back, she was like her flesh was burnt to a point of like it was completely black, and just she was trying to get back her remains, and that was really scary. Kind of, for a little kid, you'd be kind of like, ugh, but other than that, I loved it. It was, once again, we got more chemistry. The chemistry between Ichabod and the Lieutenant are there. There were some funny scenes in the first episode and in this episode between Ichabod and the Lieutenant, especially because she's African American, and Ichabod is from that time period. So in the first episode, we saw her saying, "So you have been emancipated," and she's like, "What did you say?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're no longer slaves," and things like that. And they're kind of trying to explain to them, yeah, the war is over. That war, the Revolutionary War, ended. We won, everything like that. We got a little bit more of a glimpse of like what the first president was, what, like, he had a secret covenant himself, and things like that. It was just, I like where they're going with this show. These are the same people that are behind, I believe behind shows like, I wouldn't say Buffy and Angel, but there's I'm trying to remember some shows that one show that the people that are involved with Sleepy Hollow is the same people who were involved with Transformers Prime. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. But I enjoy this show a lot. This is another show which I won't do weekly reviews. I'll just do an overview. I wanted to finally get my thoughts out on the show, no matter what, and I'll do a season overview of the show. But it seems like a lot of things are, pieces of the puzzle are coming into play. More, or you can even say more players are being added to this game of chess between Ichabod and the Lieutenant, the unlikely duo that are walking this crossroads together, and the forces of darkness, and that's fine. And I love it. I do like it. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Sleepy Hollow. Now, do I feel that this is Sleepy Hollow is Fox's answer to NBC's Grimm, another show that I like? Maybe, maybe not. Is it an answer to the CW's Supernatural? Once again, it's you can. That's how do you feel about that? But I do feel that it is Fox's answer, putting their foot into the Supernatural game. Like I said, like NBC and the CW is doing, and things like that. It's just now Fox's turn to go ahead and say, okay, now we got our foot into the water now, and we're going to see where we can take our version of this supernatural piece. It's not officially really a crime drama, but the suspense is really there. It's a supernatural suspense, and I love the actors in the show, the characters they play. It works well for them, and like I said, that chemistry between Ichabod Crane and, I'm forgetting the actress's name, the lieutenant. She's a lieutenant. Is there? It's really there, and they really go into depths of explaining a lot of things that's sometimes needed. They just don't rush into things and things like that. So yes, I like the show. If anybody out there else watches the show, tell me what you think about Sleepy Hollow. And other than that, guys, this is my running kid saying peace, one love, stay tuned, keep it real, guys. As always, I'll catch you guys around. And if you do, you guys can always ask me, so did you like that episode, Chris? I'll tell you. But other than that, ta-ta for now. Take care.